Odyssey now has hundreds of new exclusive music stations for you to discover your new summer soundtrack.
Get moving with worthy workouts for a cardio sesh fueled by today's top artists.
Hanging with your crew? Throw it back with Picnic Party for old school jams for your cookout.
Or sail away with Odyssey's new yacht rock station, Jugger Yacht.
For summer barbecues, road trips,
or relaxing poolside.
Hundreds of new exclusive stations, plus all your favorite local radio stations and podcasts. It's all on Odyssey.
Brought to you by Macy's, Geico, and Coke Zero Sugar.
The Midwestern University Eye Institute, located in Downers Grove, provides comprehensive care at an affordable price, including eye exams for contact lenses, treatment for eye diseases, vision therapy, and low vision rehabilitation services. Also offering eye care and services for pediatric patients and patients with special needs. Be sure to visit their newly expanded optical center. Learn more at MWUclinics.com or call 630-743-4500. The Eye Institute at the Midwestern University Multi-Specialty Clinic, your family's home for healthcare.
News Talk 830 WCCO Sports with Mike Max.
Maxie, how's the weather where you are this morning?
I saw that same crack of lightning and that same thunder, man. It was kaboom. And
yeah.
It was like if you would have, you probably would have heard it through my microphone. It was that loud, and that's pretty hard to do at at a house, something like that. So it was that loud and that pretentious, like you said. Though it's a welcome sight. You don't want anybody to get hurt in that lightning. But boy, the rain sure feels good and sure is needed here. And you see some of these brown spots on the yard, and you go, well, maybe we got a chance after all.
Maybe, yeah. You're saying I got a chance.
You're saying I got a chance, and maybe so many. And this is an outdoor issue, but so many people, and I'd imagine that most people that fish and boat know this by now. But, boy, those lower units you got to be careful with, because it is so shallow everywhere. And just because it looks like a lake is full doesn't mean it's not down a couple feet, and doesn't mean you're not a couple feet closer to the rock on the bottom. And you really got to be careful, because there have been a lot of units, they tell me, taken out this year for things that aren't visible, but just because the water's down that low in places that you've been before and you think and all of a sudden, you believe me, I know. You bring a motor in fixed, you might as well sign over your will, because it's gonna take some money and some time before they get that thing fixed.
That is absolutely true. Hey, Everson Griffin back with the Vikings. What did you make of that signing yesterday?
I saw Everson during the off season. We live not far away, and there's a training center. I'd run into him from time to time, and this was his wish all along. He really wanted to play for the Minnesota Vikings again, in part because of convenience. He lives here. His wife is from here, so there's some of that, but he wanted to be back with the old gang as well. And so I don't think that this is one of those things where they go, okay, we got Everson back, so we're going to play him at defensive end, and he'll play X amount of plays a game. This is more kind of a semi-tryout still, for a couple of reasons. One is they don't know what they're going to get out of Wanham and Weatherly yet at that position, so one of those two will probably get cut, one will stay. Griffin will be used in pass rushing situations because, as the players tell me, there's kind of a natural instinct that he has as a pass rusher that you can't teach. If he's not good at that spot, they won't keep him. Or if he has any problems, he had his issues off the field, and they're fairly well documented. And he's a great teammate, loves the guys in the locker room, and they love him. But he did have some issues, so if any of that rears up, he could be gone. So I think it's a highly incentivized contract for Everson, and not so much risk for the Vikings.
Of course, Dr. Osterholm was invited to speak to the team yesterday. An interesting tactic from the coach and front office. What did you make of that? And did you hear any, what were people saying about it?
Don't know if it moved the needle or not at all. It was a question and answer session, and I'm sure that Dr. Osterholm did a great job. According to Mike Zimmer, did a great job. The players that have decided not to get vaccinated, I don't know. I think there's another variable there. That some players were saying, hey, none of this stuff's FDA approved, and so I got no recourse to go after anybody if this vaccination fails my career, or does something disrupts my career. Well, then at the same day, by coincidence, Pfizer got FDA approved. So I don't know some of the players that have used that as, I don't want to say a crutch, but a reason why they're not vaccinated. I wonder if that changes anything, because that's what some of them have suggested, that I'm not going to take some experimental drug. And if this thing goes awry, then what am I left with? Nothing, and my career is over or something like that. And I know that's a lot to read into it, but I'm just telling you, those are the real conversations that players are having. And so I thought the FDA-approved Pfizer was just as interesting yesterday as the conversation that Dr. Ostrom had with him, because he's telling them a lot of things that he knows and believes that they've heard before, and a lot of those guys have made their decisions on that.
But again, as you said, and what was ironic about that is, like, literally as Osterholm was speaking to the team, the FDA came down with this announcement. I mean, it was literally happening in real time. So you're right. Anybody who has used that reason for not getting the vaccine, that's now off the table. So, now you either get it or you just say you're not getting it. You can't.
And that's, it'll be interesting to see how all businesses and schools function. One of the interesting things that I heard as I do my high school beat and whatnot is that, some schools are mask mandated right off the top. Other schools are saying, no, it's optional. But I've heard that some of those schools that are optional are going, we can't lose any more kids to the private schools like we did last year, because they said, hey, we want in-person learning, no masks, all those things. So we got to at least get them into the school before we make the mask a mandate. So pay attention to that school, that storyline too.
Okay, so you got the Twins tonight, 5:30 pregame, 6:10 first pitch in Boston, and Kenta Maeda sent to the injury list yesterday.
Yeah, 10-day. He's kind of flirted with that during the year a little bit, and it's just another young pitcher will get another chance to pitch for the Twins. We don't even recognize this rotation as we knew it coming into the season and what we thought it would be, and they've turned that thing over for better or worse. The good news is young guys get to pitch. The bad news is young guys get to pitch, and Fenway Park is a daunting task. The Boston's picked it up. They had that great first half of the season that's kept them in contention to an extent. So they're a good team playing in their ballpark. So that's interesting matchups for young pitchers and for a young team. They got overwhelmed by New York for a few days, just like they look against New York. And Boston's not the same graveyard for them, but it can be.
For sure. All right, let's hope John Hines is back in about an hour, and he'll join you, hopefully, with some more Twins and maybe some
What
high
a day,
sports.
Steve. Well, thanks, buddy. You're doing a great job.
All right, thanks, Mike. Mike Max, 747, here on News Talk 830 WCCO.
On Pod Save the World, we want to be your cheat sheet for global events. My name is Tommy Vitor, and each week, my co-host Ben Rhodes and I break down the biggest stories from around the world. Ben and I both worked on President Obama's national security staff, and we'll introduce you to the activists, politicians, and journalists who can help us understand what's going on around the world, what it means for the United States, and what it's like being inside the White House Situation Room during a crisis. Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your pods.
The COVID-19 pandemic showed us how a microscopic virus could upend our lives. There is so much out there that we need to understand. But for every threat, there are heroes working at the edges of science and policy to protect us. I'm Dr. Abdul El-Sayed, former Detroit Health Director and host of Crooked Media's America Dissected. Every episode, I talk to the doctors, scientists, culture makers, and policy leaders who are working out new ways to protect us against our biggest threats. New episodes of America Dissected every Tuesday. Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
CuriosityStream has thousands of documentary films and shows available on demand on any device. We're the Netflix for nerds, the Hulu for history buffs, the Disney Plus for the scientist in us. There sure are a lot of streaming services, aren't there? CuriosityStream is the one you definitely need if you're the type to nature dock and chill, if you're an armchair astronaut, if you prefer physics to psychics, or perhaps you know a precocious paleontologist. Go to CuriosityStream.com to learn more and sign up today.